From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims. Hey guys, Bullhorn Betty here. I cover true crime. We've been covering the case of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, which disappeared from his home on February 26 and has not been seen or heard from since. Believe it or not, Mr. and Mrs. E Crimecast, which is on YouTube, are going to be having Dog's attorney, Mr. Lesniak, if I'm saying his name correctly, is going to be on their show this morning. This morning at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, 8:30 Central. And I think this is something everybody would love to hear. We're hearing that Dog's team is rolling out right now some cease and desist as well as some federal injunctions to people that are hindering their ability to do their job. And so we've heard of one such person, and it's a personality here on TikTok that has received this said injunction and cease and desist. Now, it's my understanding the injunction is what they're planning on filing if the actions don't cease. But it seems that the federal injunction has not been filed in the courts yet. It's just, if you don't quit these behaviors, we're going to get an injunction to stop you from these behaviors. I'm a little unclear on what it's all about. However, it sounds like it's related to hindering an investigation, hindering Dog's ability to perform his job, threats, brigading the parole board and the parole office, some other things. I'm again unclear. The person that did receive it had the opportunity to read it verbatim, but chose to be very sketchy about it on the live stream related to whether or not this is going to move forward. It doesn't sound like they can't say Sebastian's name. Obviously, that would be hindering somebody's First Amendment rights. But it's the actions that they're doing. It's the inciting of their audience. It's the brigading of law enforcement's phones. It's the brigading of parole board's phones. And brigading basically means you get a whole bunch of people to make these calls. And it's causing a major problem. Plus, the misinformation is causing people to call law enforcement with bunk leads, causing them to stop the search, stop their investigative work on Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers to handle these other claims, these false claims that are coming in. And it's really causing a lot of problems from these hate channels. And so, you know, I am familiar with Dog. I'm familiar with Nick, but I don't work with them directly, maybe more indirectly, I guess you could say. I provided them some information that they've requested and things of that nature. But for the most part, it sounds like they are absolutely, feet first into this case, trying to make heads or tails and trying to find out which way they should go. This attorney is the attorney that has filed those cease and desist. So this is going to be very interesting. I'm very excited to hear what they have to say. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, he's been missing from his home since February 26th. And this case, as you guys can imagine, has been absolutely littered, and I mean littered, with misinformation and misinformation campaign. Now, I've had an opportunity to speak to Tony Mathis. He's the spokesperson, the national spokesperson for Seth Rogers, which is the biological father to Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. And what I learned is he had an opportunity early on when he was becoming the spokesperson. He was trying to be the spokesperson for all three, so they had a united front on social media and a presence on national platforms. And during those conversations, he did address my understanding with the mom, whether or not, because there were already rumors about this alleged young, underage relationship she may have had with Seth at that time. And she specifically told Tony Mathis at that time that she did not meet Seth until she was 18. They did not start a relationship until she was over 18, not 18 years old, obviously, over 18. But she was not quite 19 years old yet. She had Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers when she was 19 and a half. A year later, right about 9 months into their relationship, she got pregnant. And it's my understanding that there are some rumors going around from a PI that there is some type of relationships from Seth with younger girls, and there is not one scintilla of information to support those facts. Not one. This man is also the man that caused problems in the Kylie Rodney case. He was called out by Adventures with Purpose, a well-known search and rescue conglomerate that actually found Kylie Rodney. In the Dillon rounds, he kind of schmoozed in with the family, and they fired him. And when they fired him, he threatened to expose the mom. And then move forward to Layla Santinello's case. Again, wants to expose the mom because she does not want to work with him. And now we're here with the Sebastian Rogers case where he's going to expose the father. So as you see, there is a clear MO from this internet PI related to these cases. He is not in it for the information. He's trying to use his SAR training as some type of thing. He is not a legit PI. He is licensed. But he has no common sense, no understanding of what legitimate PIs do. I doubt he was ever trained by a legitimate PI. But hey, I don't know. All I know is that his information, since I've been watching him, has been absolutely BS. He also claimed that he had found 14 to 15 people between 2021 and 2022, yet there are no receipts on that. There's no names associated with that. There's no articles associated with him in it as finding all of these people. However, on the flip side, we have Dog the Bounty Hunter, which has a proven track record being the most... He's found over 10,000 fugitives in our country, and well-known worldwide bounty hunter. You know, he's worldwide known. You know, he's definitely knows his stuff. And we have a clashing of a peeing contest, if you will, a peeing contest. So all this PI is ever going to be able to litter, since he does work for this child's mom and stepfather. This child was last seen with his mother, and only his mother. So when you have a PI that's working for the people that have changed their stories, have been very critical of, well, I shouldn't say critical. They haven't been critical of anything. They haven't even helped. They've never done any searches. They have been hiding. They left their home in the middle of major search efforts and went to a different state. At a vigil, they were seen at a motorcycle shop shopping for motorcycles. These are people that really have some suspicious and peculiar behaviors. And then we learn that this man is employed by those very people. It makes us scratch our head and wonder what in the world is going on. So I'm not sure. All I wanted to do is come out here and make sure everybody on TikTok knew that today, this morning, at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time or 8:30 Central Time, if you're not in Eastern or Central, you'll have to figure out what your time will be. But there is going to be an interview with Dog's attorney. And I think it'll be very interesting, especially in light of hearing some of these cease and desist, as well as these unfiled federal injunctions were sent to at least one person. I'm hearing, I saw a live from Nick the Hat, and it sounds like more are going to be going out in the near future to a few other creators. I'm unsure who they are. He wasn't very specific in his live. So I guess, we'll see how this works, and we'll see. I honestly believe if anybody is going to be getting one of these, it's going to be this crackpot internet PI that has no proven track record other than causing chaos in cases. He's gotten a lot of notoriety by his horse manure that he spits out as fact that has not one scintilla of information. Listen, if he's going to be public, which private investigators are called private investigators for a very specific reason, because they're supposed to be private, not public. However, I digress on that statement, but he is... he has been speaking a lot of information. Now, this is information he would have acquired by some way, shape, or form. So where's the receipts? Seems pretty legitimate, right? It seems pretty legitimate that if you're going to make a statement such as the ones that he's making, you would have receipts to support those statements you're making. I make statements all the time. I don't produce a whole lot of receipts on my channels, but it doesn't mean I don't have them. And when I say something very salacious, I usually have an interview with somebody explaining why I come up with that statement, because usually it's either I found it somewhere, and if I found it somewhere on my lives, I'll show it. Or I heard it from somebody, and in that case, they will usually give a statement. So where is the receipts to these very, very defaming allegations against Seth, other than the fact that he works for the mom and the stepfather, and a lot of attention is on them? Why? Because we're in the true crime genre, and usually we try to locate the last person that saw the person before they disappeared or were unalived. And that just so happens to be this boy's mother. But seeing how the boy's stepfather keeps interjecting himself into the case to control the narrative and not allow his wife to speak, it makes you feel like he may have some information that is not being told to the detectives or the world. So we have a lot of issues when it comes to this case, but I want to forewarn people that are spreading around misinformation without any type of fact-finding, without any type of receipts. It's dangerous and it's problematic. And the type of claims that they are making are claims that could get somebody unalived. And we have heard on Smiley's World when the stepfather basically stated, or maybe it was Web Sleuth, I think it might have been Web Sleuth, basically stated that if the father, the biological father, Seth Rogers, states something, I can't remember what it was about, tells the world something, that will be the last words he ever says again, or something to that effect. Then you rewind a little bit to Miss Bobby's interview, where she's a neighbor that lives in the same community, driving around with her son and her son's friend, a girl in the back seat. And again, the stepfather threatens this girl and tells her he will unalive her if he does something or other. I will unalive you. Not those words. It's the K word. If you don't do this, or something, get out of here. Get out of here, right? And then you fast forward from that to my trip to Tennessee, where he basically tells me he's going to run me over with his car and to watch where I go. Do we see a pattern here with the stepfather? It seems very, very concerning for me that I hear all these things, and when the stepfather doesn't get his way, predominantly with women, he basically says he's going to hurt them. Well, we have a missing 15-year-old boy. It makes you wonder how many times he hurt him. We do know that there is CPS, and CPS was involved in this case and had been involved in this case for some time. We don't know what the results of those cases were, or if they were combined into one, or if they were multiple cases opened. And then right around the time that CPS was involved this last time, the stepfather goes to work and never comes back home. He stays far, far, far away from the home up until his stepson disappears. And that's the first time he comes home in almost a month. His job site was only 3.5 hours away, and up until January, he was accustomed to coming home every weekend or every other weekend to spend time at home and with his family. That was stated by the neighbors. However, this particular weekend and all through the month of February, they did not see the stepfather or the stepfather's vehicle at that home that entire time. What happened to Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers? And where is Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers? And why is everybody that's harassing people, trying to get people fired from jobs, trying to get them locked up, trying to have them have parole violations, trying to brigade DAs and law enforcement, why are all these people associated with the last woman that saw this boy alive and her husband that threatens a lot of people's lives? Makes you wonder. Because every single one of these misinformation campaigns can come back to someone associated with the mom and the stepfather. Those are hard, cold facts. This is a very uncomfortable situation that we are in. I can tell you the father, Seth Rogers, has tried to raise heaven and earth to find his son, and has not been able to locate him yet. He's got private investigators. He's got teams. He's got people looking on the ground. We're identifying areas to look into the water. We've got Dog the Bounty Hunter that is now searching and expanding into the family dynamic and finding out if this boy could be housed somewhere. But the problem is that we've learned through this case is the mom really doesn't have a whole lot to do with her family. The father, or the stepfather, only has something to do with his family, his close family. And they don't really have a lot of friends or anybody that comes over to the house. That's what we learned. We learned that from them, and we learned that from their neighbors. We also learned that Sebastian does not go on the internet. Now, we did learn that while he was in school, there were some classes that he did online. But that was in a controlled environment and computers that are monitored. So where would a third party, unbeknownst to the family, come from? It doesn't make sense. We need to be asking these questions because something stinks to high heaven. And I can tell you that in this county, there's something that smells a little fishy. And people were bringing that to my attention well early in this case, but in all fairness, we get the same types of emails just about every case from case to case, but this one, the allegations, in my opinion, are panning out, which is very concerning when it comes to the county. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers needs to be brought home and needs to be brought home safely. We have an uphill battle in trying to find him, and there's a $100,000 reward for any information leading to his safe return home or those responsible for his disappearance. Hopefully you guys can help. Please don't forget to keep bringing awareness for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Please make sure everybody that has a major allegation, demand receipts. That's the best thing you can do. Why? Because I know people that come here care about this boy and care about him being found. They don't care about the infighting. They don't care about the chaos. They really want this child found. So hold people to account. If they're going to make salacious claims, demand the receipts to support those claims. You'll find out in many times they don't have them. Why? Because they don't exist. Guys, don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. God bless.